Hi, welcome to Your Tech. What is this in front of me? This is a 1080p gaming machine. It's currently playing Subnautica, 1080p high settings, getting well over 60 frames a second. It plays a bunch of different games at 1080p quite happily. Struggles a little bit with your more intensive AAA games. For a first beginner PC, 1080p gaming, esports titles or anything like that, does absolutely fine. And it cost me £65. How did it cost me £65? You'll have to watch the video to find out. I'm also going to be giving this PC away. There's a lovely guy on Facebook who's getting his nephew into PC gaming and had a budget of £150. So instead of him wasting his money on some e-waste machine on integrated graphics, I am going to give him this, which means he was able to spend that 150 quid on some awesome peripherals instead. Come with me, see how I build it, see how it runs in games, see what issues we came across and how we solved them, and hopefully you enjoy the video. Going to go through the parts list very quickly. We have the once blazing fast 7600K. It is 4 cores, 4 threads. That's right, no hyper-threading here whatsoever. To pair with the 7600K, we have the H110M by Gigabyte. It's basically got everything we need. However, it doesn't have M.2 support. We have 2 sticks of 8GB, 3200 mega transfer RAM. Gotta get that dual channel memory. We have a 250 gig SATA SSD for the operating system. I do also have a 1TB hard drive that's going to go in this PC. We have a Cronus 500 watt 80 plus bronze power supply. It has no fancy bells and whistles really, other than having flat black cables. And here we have the star of the show, the RX 580 8 gig. Now this is not the fastest graphics card in the world. Once upon a time, it was a fantastic card. However, I think we'll be surprised by how good the 1080p performance is going to be on this card. We also have the Cronus Fear M80X case. Plenty of airflow, should meet our needs fairly well. It's a lovely cheap little case. Comes with some installed fans. Jobs are good. Let's get into it. I will explain how I've managed to build this at the end of the video. Static shock. Ooh, static shock again. Now that is a pretty little case. That is tiny. I did not realise it was that small. First things first, we've got front mesh and 2 what looks like 120mm fans. Yeah, third 120mm fan in the back. We've got some tie downs, button on the front to change the light. We've got 3 USB ports on the front, 1 3.0 and 2 2.0. We've got a tempered glass panel on the front. This case was ridiculously cheap. It's like 30 quid, 35 quid, something like that. That, for £35, is an absolute bargain. Tempered glass, magnetic, a little pull string to open it, removable. That's brilliant. Very, very happy with that. That is a cool little case. Now, I have already checked the measurements. But just to check, to make sure, that is going to be a full PC, ladies and gentlemen. Store the CPU. This is almost always the most delicate part. The cooler. Right then, welcome back. We're about to see if the £65 gaming PC posts. A few things have changed. The motherboard that I bought did not work at all. I've got a Chinese motherboard that was took from a customer's computer about a year ago. They bought it from AliExpress and it ran fine. It is not my first option for what motherboard I would have chose for this, but the one from eBay would not post. It just boot looping constantly and I tried everything to fix it. That motherboard's gone back and we've got this Chinese machineless motherboard. The only issue I can really see with it, there's no way to enable XMP, so you can't overclock your RAM, and there's no fan control. Luckily with this case, the fans aren't controllable anyway. They just into SATA and they run at whatever speed they run at. So it's not an ideal situation. However, it is what it is, £65. So to get it back up to that £65 range, I found a 960 gigabyte SSD on offer. So I've bought that, I've put that in to bring it back up to that £65 target. And I know some of you are thinking, how on earth, you've bought a £35 SSD, how can this be £65 worth of component? If you hadn't guessed from me talking about the motherboard, this is made from components that customers have let me keep when they've upgraded. They didn't want them anymore, they had no use for them, they couldn't be bothered with the resale and all the rest of it, so they've let me have them. So we have a power supply that I think was 6 months old when it was swapped out because the customer wanted a brand new graphics card and this 500 watt power supply was not powerful enough to run it. We've got a 7600K from a customer that upgraded to 10th gen Intel. We've got the machinist motherboard from the same customer. The RX 570 was from a customer that upgraded to a 3070, and the RAM came from a customer that upgraded from 2x8 sticks, which we've got, and they upgraded to 2x16 gigs. Everything in this case, other than the SSD and the case itself, didn't cost me anything. Now, I know £65 is not a lot of money to some people. I'm a tiny channel, £65 can go a long way for me. But the guy that I'm giving this to, he reached out on Facebook to a few PC groups that I'm in, asking what he could buy for £150 to get his niece or nephew, I think it was nephew, into gaming. I'd been planning on doing this spare parts build anyway, so I said, look, give me a few weeks, let me film the build, let me get it all ready, and I will send you this. It's not going to be the highest specs, but it should be fine. 1080p, low to medium settings, depending on the game. I told him the specs, and he was more than happy. Because I've reached out to him and I'm giving him this PC as well, the budget of £150 he had, he was able to spend that on some awesome peripherals for his nephew. I do believe this is going to be a Christmas present, so there isn't going to be a reaction video to this until at least after Christmas, if there is one at all. But I don't care. I'm really, really happy that I can do something good, especially when, like I've already said, I'm such a small channel and I'm already being able to give back. That's something that I want to be able to do no matter how big this grows. It's all right, I'm saying all that, but does the PC work? We have lights. You'll also notice the fan from the back has moved. The fan wouldn't spin next to the CPU cooler because the CPU cooler, the top of it is too massive. We've moved it to the top, so it'll exhaust out the top instead of out the back. It won't be a massive difference, to be honest. The card's still going to exhaust out the back. Power supply still going to exhaust out the back, so you're still going to get heat dissipating either way. It should be absolutely fine. And that is posted. So I've just got to install Windows. Now I do have a custom Windows install here. I learned how to do this from Cyber CPU Tech, so shout out to him on YouTube. Great channel. Guy seems like a dead friendly, down to earth guy, and I like that. I'm going to install this Windows. All my programs that I need should already be on there, ready to go. And we'll see how well this PC works. I'll be back in a minute. While installing Windows, I just wanted to show you how you can bypass Microsoft's stupid "you must connect to the internet so you can OneDrive all your crap on here" thing. To bypass Microsoft's internet connection thing, all you have to do, just Shift and F10 to bring up the command prompt, click somewhere, and then it's out of box experience /bypass NRO. And when I hit enter, this should restart. There we go. When it comes back, you'll go through the prompts as normal and you won't have to log into the internet. There is absolutely no need for it at all. There it is. If you want to skip it, that's how you do it. I'm going to get back to installing Windows and we'll see how it performs. Windows is fully installed. We've got Subnautica running. The PC is not the quietest, but it's also not as loud as I thought it'd be.
Survivor, you have exceeded. Data indicates that swimming was your favorite activity. Be sure to vary your routine for uniform muscle development.
You done? Thank you. Fully updated, game's running. I've had a little play around on Subnautica and it's running between 60 and 80 frames a second on high details at 1080p. Subnautica is not a difficult game to run. It was the quickest game to download and install because I didn't realise this is a Cat5 cable, so it's a little bit slow. We've got the gaming benchmarks coming up. The one thing that I will say is I'm quite impressed that it's handling this as well as it is, even though it's not a hard game to run. It seems to be working fine, so I'm going to have a look at some gaming benchmarks, do a stress test, and see how it does. I shall see you in a minute. And there we have it, that's the benchmarks. And we are on to the conclusion of this PC build. You'll notice the cooler is different. The original cooler that I had has gone in the bin because it just didn't work. Don't know whether the retention clips on it had worn out because it wasn't a very good mechanism at all, but the CPU was hitting 80 to 90 degrees. I've bought a new cooler and I've put that on as well. So it is no longer the £65 gaming PC. It's closer to £100 now with the cooler. I'm really happy to be able to send it to him. I think it's looking quite nice, seeing it's a hodgepodge of components. And as you've seen on the gaming benchmarks, it handles games fine. You have to lower the settings a little bit. Doom Eternal runs great on it, which is wicked to see. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. Was it worth it? Probably not. It's not something that I could have reliably made any money on. It cost me £100 because of all the free components I had from customers, but it's took me over a week to get this complete because I just kept running into issue after issue. I could probably sell this on Facebook Marketplace for £150, £200 maybe, but it's took me a week to build it. So I'm going to be paying myself 50p an hour at that point. So yeah, not worth it for me as a business plan. Definitely worth it for the guy that's going to get this PC for free. I love this case. If that's one thing to take away from this build, this tiny little Chronosphere case is awesome for the money. Right, 30 quid I got this for. 3 pre-installed fans, RGB with a click of a button here. If you get a motherboard that's got one, it's got a 3-pin connector as well, so I imagine there is a way to control it depending on the motherboard. Plenty of space on the back. I'll give you a little view of the cable management now. Absolutely fine. You've got the rat's nests where it's meant to be. All the cables run fine. And because it's such a small case, the cable runs dead easy to do because you've usually got excess cables anyway. So yeah, I really hope he's happy with it. What do you guys think? Do you think it was worth it, even with all the issues and the extra expense? I do completely understand I have failed the £65 PC title for this video by having to buy that cooler. Let me know what you think. If you've got any recommendations, anything you think I should have done differently, drop it in the comments. Other than that, this PC is on its way. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more. I'm absolutely loving making these videos at the minute and I can't wait to release more. I've got lots of ideas and lots of videos planned. Thanks again. Subscribe and I'll see you next time. While installing Windows, I also wanted to show you how you can bypass Microsoft. While installing Windows, I just wanted to show you how you can bypass Microsoft off. Oh, you son of a bitch. All of that was worth nothing. All of it.